Thanks for listening to the Get Over Yourself podcast, brought to you by Carol Fit Stationary Bike Program, 8-minute workouts to get super fit. Perfect Keto, the cleanest, highest potency ketone supplements. Mofo, male optimization formula with organs to boost testosterone. Let's get checked at Home Testing Kits. Try lgc.com. Almost Heaven, beautiful compact home use sauna kits. B.rad's macadamia masterpiece, the mind-blowing nut butter blend. And check out bradkearns.com/shop, my personal selection of favorite products for health, fitness, and peak performance. And here we go with the show.
Any amount of discomfort that runs through your body is an emotional response. It's biological, it's anger, it's disappointment, it's frustration, it's jealousy, whatever it is only being produced because the programming in your brain, your body, your person, your upbringing, compared to the stimulus that you're experiencing, produces I'm bothered. My spirituality is to go beyond the programming and stop with the program and decide what I want to do. Decide if I like this. Decide if this meets my goals. We can make choices like running and exercising smart. We can make choices like jumping in cold water because we know it's good for us. We can make choices like intermittent fasting because we know it's good for us. We can make choices like getting in positive relationships. And I wrote this in one of my quotes. Wisdom is knowing what situations are loving and supporting for us. Power is staying in them.
Welcome back, I think, for the third time, maybe the fourth time. It's Dave Rossi, author of The Imperative Habit, my spiritual guide and mentor. This guy is on such an amazing and wonderful path, rethinking all these flawed notions that have become part of culture, where we identify and attach ourselves to the outcome of what we're doing. That's why I love him on the podcast. He honors the theme of getting over yourself and just being present and accepting. Remember his 7 habits from his book, The Imperative Habit. Number 1 is accept. Number 2 is do not fear the outcome. Number 3, happiness as a practice. And his tidbit there is to remove the things in your life that make you unhappy, and all you're left with is happiness. Number 4, be present. Number 5, do not judge. Number 6, respond. Did you say respond instead of react? Yes, he did. Respond with love and compassion at all times. And number 7 is have faith. So I think you will love the first 2 shows I did with him, where he talked a little more in depth about the content of his book. But in this show, it feels like kind of an open mic night. We actually just kept the recording going after we did our formal program where Dave Rossi interviewed me. But I said, you know what? I got to keep recording, because every time you wind this guy up, he will unload with a stream of incredible insights. Many of them are pretty complex and in depth. So you have to reflect, maybe push the back button on your recording device, your podcast playing device, and listen again. That's what I do, because some of it just is really tough to grasp out of the gate, or he'll make a profound comment that requires a lot of reflection. So yeah, don't do the 1.5 or the 1.75 speed on this show. Do it at 1.0 or 1.25 at least. Listen, enjoy. Dave Rossi. And you know what we picked up was when he asked me on my interview, when he interviewed me, he says, what are you not revealing to your audience? And I finally came up with something, and we're going to get into that at the start of the show and then carry on. We're going to bring in some insights from the amazing Mark Manson, the modern philosopher of our times, #1 best-selling author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and his sequel book, Everything is Fucked, a book about hope. I had him on the show. It was a life-changing interview, and a lot of Dave's work is sort of aligned with this new look at spirituality, this kind of broader perspective than the things that have brought us to present day with sort of these dated and constrained ideals in society. Yes, a wild show indeed. So the interview jumps into an abrupt starting point because I just pushed the record button while we were talking offline after he finished interviewing me for that podcast. And we get into the juicy topic of what am I hiding or not being fully authentic as a podcast host. And I finally realized maybe I'm not as confrontational as some other people because I don't like the conflict, and I just let my guest roll and go with the flow and be the honored guest on the podcast. But Dave is making a great point about calling people out and having it be okay once in a while to get into contention and controversy, whether it's in real life or on a podcast. So that's the jumping in point. Let's hear what Brad Kearns has to say when he's backed into a corner. Oh, interesting stuff. Here we go. Dave Rossi. And then we get further into a really good groove into his major takeaway, actionable insights about spirituality and looking at the world and looking at yourself in a different way, much more healthy. Yeah, here we go.
I'm not trying to change your mind. Granted, if you fight too hard for your side, it's now edging, trying to change their mind. So you say it once, look, I don't understand it that way. I could be wrong. I may not understand it entirely well, but that's what I think right now.
Right.
And you'll never argue with your guests. I think you have to call people out on that.
Yeah, so that's what I'm hiding, is that, that speaking my truth at the expense of being controversial. And it might not be in a guest format because, I'm inviting guests that are in some ways contributing to the confirmation bias. I'm not going to have people on there that are extremely radical or disparate to what I believe is important, right? Although I did try to get Rip on there for a healthy exchange of a counter opinion, but also just offering that opinion out about real life circumstances. I try to stay away from politics on the show because you can consume politics on other shows. But, part of me wants to, what's that?
We only see a very small percentage of the light spectrum.
Yeah.
And how do we fucking know what a planet looks like when we only see a very small percentage of the light spectrum? Like anything that we think we know, even from science, is so jaded from our minimal ability to comprehend certain concepts. So every opinion that you have and every opinion that he has is certainly and completely biased to your own programming and your own way in which you're filtering science. So it's okay to say, I don't understand it the same way. And that debate to me is incredibly healthy because I don't know which way to go. I want to hear what you have to say, and I want to hear what you have to say. And I understand your programming is different, and your background is different. And I understand your programming is different, and your background is different. And I don't even know where my programming and background fits in. But listening to both of you speak about your opinions helped me kind of figure out how it fits into my decision-making process. That debate is really healthy to me.
Yeah,
I think it is.
Yeah. And we probably have enough, backstabbing and criticisms to go around. So I don't need to slam David Goggins on my show for putting out a message that can be, extremely warped and unhealthy and, indicative of his void in his life that he's trying to fill by doing extreme endurance challenges and glorifying those, which many people are drawn to. At the expense of their marriage, their health, their balanced lifestyle, their role as a parent. They're out there pedaling their bicycle, training for the Ironman, and it's really escaping facing the reality of their life. But you're not going to hear me say that on a show and criticize the endurance movement in that manner, or the ultra runners that I know and love many of them. But
let's reframe that. I would reframe that and say it has nothing to do with Dave Goggins, and God bless him for doing what he's doing. I only wish that listeners can open their minds to new perspectives and see different ways in which endurance training could also be accomplished, other ways in which it could be accomplished. And that clearly he's gaining a lot of listeners that are drawn to that one type. And I hope those listeners can open their minds and expand their programming to be open to higher levels and different levels of endurance training than just that.
Right. Just the lowest common denominator. How much can you suffer?
That's kind of how I would frame that, and have nothing against what Dave says. And I don't want to say anything insulting against his listeners because they're all operating at their highest level of consciousness.
Yeah.
And let's use their highest level of intelligence instead of consciousness, or their highest level of understanding instead of the word consciousness. They're all operating at their highest level of consciousness, understanding, and intelligence. And I wish they could up level or upgrade those levels to connect to, listen to, understand, and maybe apply other types of endurance training practices.
Well, I wonder what you think of this. When you frame that message so gracefully, sometimes in life it just kind of flies over people's heads because it's not hard hitting enough, and maybe we get a bigger wake up call. And of course, this is what the salacious news broadcasts are about: is the shock value of the news gets higher ratings. And so, here I am on my show, being making graceful, respectful commentary with and about all my guests and about all the stuff that's going on. And I'm never really calling people out in that aggressive manner. But in my own life and my own personal life, the people who have, been the most extreme in their point of view have influenced me more than anyone else. And I have, great appreciation for people that, get in my face and call me out on my bullshit or whatever in a manner that I would never do myself. It's sort of like, counter to how I operate, and I appreciate it.
Two things, though. I think you're saying two things. Number one, when you say extreme, you have, when you're defining something as something, and you're using the word extreme as a definition, you have to be comparing it to some other standard. So you're saying, hey, this guy's giving me extreme advice, but that extreme advice is you determining it's extreme based on what you think is not extreme. Mm-hmm. And so that's resonating with you. And I think what you're also saying is that a lot of people who are extreme based on maybe the masses have a larger following and have more appeal, and they're getting more followers or more attention. And that is the lowest common denominator for these audiences. Yes, that may be, but there's only so many people that are along the path far enough from the caterpillar to the butterfly that are going to speak butterfly language. And that's okay. There might be a lot more caterpillars out there than butterflies. Dr. David Hawkins, in his science, says 78% of the population is below the vibrational energy level of positive and negative energy. 78% of the world is below the positive line between positive vibrating energy and negative vibrating energy, which says 78% of the population to me is on the caterpillar side and not the butterfly side. And so for me, the spiritual value or spiritual rule that I want to uphold is to continue to espouse what I feel strongly about, where my knowledge base sits. And I got to tone the words I use down sometimes or explain things more caterpillar-esque, but I'm not changing the fact that I'm shooting high and I'm asking people to shoot high. And I think you're the same way. You can't be Dave Goggins and speak grunt caterpillar to a lot of people that like it. You're speaking to people that want to be athletes, that want to have peak performance. And that's going to be a smaller audience. And the real thing is to convert the people at the lower levels of consciousness, or the lower levels of endurance understanding, or the lower levels of endurance intelligence, and bring them up. The market is big to bring them up.
Yeah.
We're hitting this market up here, and other people are hitting it down there. That's great. Like, people compare some of my stuff a little bit as like the next step past a Michael Singer or a Gabby Bernstein. And certainly Angela, the girl that I'm seeing, love Gabby. And then she's like, yeah, it's not so interesting anymore. It's not so appealing anymore. Because now she's going into deeper understandings of the word gratitude than the way she uses gratitude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It isn't enough. It doesn't have enough teeth. She's graduating to a more intense or deeper understanding of consciousness, or a higher level of intelligence,
Yeah. Stepping stone. Sure.
And you can have those healthy debates and not have conflict. I think you should tell yourself that, look, I want to share my view without a conflict way, and see where that goes.
I like it. Yeah. That's definitely, I can strive to do that.
I think that's good. I think that's healthy.
Yeah.
And I think you tell your guys, look, I'm not calling you to be a yes man. I obviously love what you're doing, and love your science, and I love your products. But, in all honesty, I got to keep it real, and that may come out. So just be aware.
Love it. Right. Well, maybe it'll come out first between me and you on the next show. I don't know,
Love it.
Dave. Where do
I
you get
love it.
off saying that? Yeah, let's try it. All right, man.
No, I absolutely really, really love that part of it.
Okay.
There's people that I talk to that I think um, are, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all, just have a lower level of understanding to spirituality or consciousness. And they'll say things to me. And all I want to say is, wow, like you really don't understand this at all. But I always stop myself and I say, before I think that, maybe I don't.
Whew. Love it. Yeah.
I gotta really, really, now I'm someone that practices this every day. I'm like you. I'm reading every day. I'm practicing every day. I'm meditating twice a day. I'm really pushing my brain and pushing my vulnerability and surrendering and accepting and letting go and letting myself, follow the laws of the universe, right? And I'll find someone that maybe has like listened to a couple of Super Soul Sundays and they're telling me what is. And I'm about to go like, and I go, maybe I don't know. Maybe they are right. What could I be missing?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to go there.
What can I learn from them, even though
Right.
they seem to know less than me? Just like my example of learning from my kid,
Yeah.
the know-it-all parent throwing down the hammer, and then the
Yeah.
kid takes the hammer and redirects it skillfully. Yeah, those are wonderful experiences.
Yeah. And so I think for you, the debate is good because, and I love those debates because even if you challenge me, I would go, maybe you're right. I don't know. This is what I've come to know, but you could be right. I will think about that. I absolutely could be right.
Yeah.
I think that's healthy.
Well, and actually mean it too, because I'm the type of person that will say that. And really, I'm crossing my fingers thinking you're so full of shit. But thank you for
Yeah.
that insight. I'll think about that. But it's just like you told me the steps of, I asked you, so I'm understanding, John Gray's insights to be calm, cool, collected, male, emotional regulation, and keep things under control. But then what if I'm doing, my partner does something that annoys the crap out of me, but I smile, I don't react, I'm okay. But inside I have that reaction. And you said like the next level of growth is to not have it annoy the crap out of you either. So not only do you not have a reaction,
The
you
first level
also
of growth
aren't bothered by it.
the first level of growth is not saying it because that consummates a neural
Right.
pathway. And I'll use a couple other famous people here. It was Epictetus, a Greek philosopher, who was the basis for Dr. Albert Ellis's groundbreaking therapy of modern day cognitive behavioral therapy. It was Epictetus that said, it's not events that make you upset, it's your belief in them that does. And so when you're about to get angry, it's a belief that this shouldn't be happening to you. So the first thing we have to do, and I said this in my book, is, and I'll get this from Viktor Frankl, grab that moment in time between stimulus and response where all your growth is. If you can't say or do exactly what you want to do to make your life better, then you're not conscious. And as you begin to grab that moment in time, like Viktor Frankl talked about in his book, the moment in time between stimulus and response is a small moment in time. And in that moment in time, all of our growth comes from. If you can't grab that moment in time, then you're instantly doomed. And once you have the awareness to grab that moment in time in an argument, and then number two, think about your goal. What's my goal? To have a wonderful relationship with this person. What can I say next to meet that goal? If you can't do exactly what you think in your heart will get you closer to that goal, then you're not conscious.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a powerful thing to have that level of consciousness.
Yeah, you're out of control if you can't control your response. You're a victim.
You're out of control.
You're a victim. You're a victim of all the mean people in your life.
What's that?
You're a victim of all these people that have wronged you in your life every day.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
And any level of being bothered, this is where the emotion stuff comes in. And I said this in my book, cause, effect, cause, stimulus, effect, emotion. Okay. Cause, stimulus. My wife is yelling at me, or she leaves a towel on the floor, or whatever. Any amount of discomfort that runs through your body is an emotional response that's biological. It's anger, it's disappointment, it's frustration, it's jealousy, whatever it is only being produced because the programming in your brain, your body, your person, your upbringing can compared to the stimulus that you're experiencing produces I'm bothered. If that programming was different, you came from a poor town in India, or you came from Africa, or you came from a calm Japanese home, and your wife did this, you would have no emotion. Your emotion would be different if the programming was different.
And do you believe the programming was mostly loaded between age 0 and 7, like Bruce Lipton? And yeah.
Lipton talks about that, but it continues. So this is what happens from 0 to 7. Your operating system gets developed, your lenses, and then you begin to look at all new programming through those lenses. You're constantly being programmed, but you're programmed on the train tracks of the predominant 0 to 7 train tracks. I look at things negative. So your whole life is still gathering programming, but it's on this train track.
To confirm the train track.
Well, it's any way you grew up. See, look, the human body has one prerequisite for survival. And Dr. Stephen Hawkins said this. And what is the prerequisite for survival? Don't say intelligence.
One prerequisite for survival?
Yes.
I guess being able to breathe comes to mind.
Well, I mean, your species. It's adaptability. The species that is the most adaptable will survive.
Yeah.
But the human body is adaptable, but it also has a thing called homeostasis. And so from 0 to 7, the reason why our brain is programmed the way it is to survive in the environment that it's in. It's like a tree growing around a rock to look for light. We are a biological unit looking to survive in the environment that we're put in. Oh, there's a rock in my way. I'm going to grow over here and get away from this rock so I can get some light. And then we begin to change environments. And the homeostasis is like, wait a minute, this is not the environment I'm used to surviving in. I need to get back to this environment. Breaking homeostasis is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
We're only adaptable to a point because we may be out of our element and survival is back in our element. So we fight to get back. That's why we hate change so much. It's a biological impediment to survival to change, albeit adaptability is our survival skill. You see what I'm saying?
Sure. We're compelled to in life or death circumstances of evolutionary pressure, selection pressure. So most of our existence has been the compulsion to adapt or die. And so now finally we're here in comfortable modern life where we don't really have to. We can sit and play video games and order pizza on DoorDash for the rest of our lives. And that's where we suffer and we lose our potential for happiness and contentment because we can be turned into softies that have no adaptability and no departure from homeostasis.
Right, but it's survivability. Right, and those moments are the human body as a biological unit, like a tree or a dog or a worm, has one algorithm, which is survival, and comfort falls into that algorithm of survival. And so a kid playing video games is in a comfort zone, right? That's a biological drive and an addiction to comfort. It's chemicals being injected for comfort. And spirituality, to me, is making choices beyond the body. Like, I'm going to go jump in a cold tub. I don't know about you, but it's tough every single day I jump in that tub. Has it gotten easier for you? It hasn't gotten easier for me.
It's gotten easier.
It hasn't for both. I get warmer faster.
But the part that's easier is once you get in and go into my breathing. But I still tell the story in my mind every day. Like, you know what? I should really sweep the kitchen floor first. And then I'll put the crock pot stuff on and start that 8-hour timer and then go in the cold tub. And I realize, oh, you're doing it again. So that part, I think, I can't say I've overcome that where I'm just like, Jocko, you know.
Let's talk about that. Why is that? Why? I want to know what you know. Why is that?
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Right. So it's the biology.
Right.
It's your biological side looking for survival. And the reason why you get in is your spiritual side saying,
Mm.
I'm going to go beyond what my body wants, and I'm going to consciously make a choice above my biology to do what I know is good for me.
I guess that's the same for someone who's trying to run their 100-mile run or climb to the top of the mountain, is they
Or
know that
diet,
they have, or change the diet, I guess, because
or relationships,
how so in
sex,
relationships?
sex, being swayed by someone that's biologically more compatible, chemistry, I'm going to go sway towards chemistry, even though I know this is bad for me. I'm going to
Yeah,
sway by chemistry because I
yeah.
always pick the wrong mate because I don't know, I'm really drawn to them. That's programming. Everything you like, including the color, has been programmed. Now, I'm not saying that someone just plugs something in your head and you're like, oh, you're going to like this. No, it's something you are exposed to. And just because you're exposed to the color red doesn't mean you're going to love the color red. It means the color red's going to affect you. You may hate the color red because you're exposed to color red. But the point is you were programmed because you're getting this in you. You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And so now everything you like is programmed. Everything. Every opinion you have is on your program. There is no independent thought in your brain because the innards, the computer part of your brain has been programmed.
So if we're awakening to this idea and maybe frustrated that we're we're in a rut, we keep getting drawn to the wrong things or things that end up making us feeling unhappy. How do we escape and kind of open the programming, turn on the software to get rewritten?
Well, number one, you said the word happiness, and you said it in a way as if happiness always isn't always within you. So that's a belief that you have to have a thing to make you happy. And certainly people want to feel happy. And because they want to feel happy, they think they need things to make them happy. And you really don't.
Well,
And
what if I have shitty programming and I keep
right,
playing out this shitty
right.
programming?
We
Yeah.
got to change the programming. So that's where consciousness comes in. That's where spirituality comes in. That's where I use athletics as an example. My legs are tired. You need to stop running now, Brad. No, I'm training. I want to get a world record because I love world records and I'm Brad Kearns and I'm super awesome. So I'm going to keep on going. No, Brad, seriously, like our legs are really tired. We have lactic acid and the muscles are giving us signals that this is really bad. Yeah, I know legs, this is really bad, but I'm going to keep on going. And you can use that same example with happiness. Look, you're really unhappy. Great. Happiness doesn't come from things. I'm going to reprogram my brain with happiness. It doesn't come from things. No, seriously, like we love to eat ice cream at night and we're kind of sad and ice cream makes us feel really, really good. Yeah, but happiness doesn't come from things like ice cream. I know it feels good, but it's not really good. It's a biological chemical of happiness like serotonin or dopamine or the little stuff in my brain that happens to me when I eat ice cream. Okay, so let's not do it. Okay, I won't do it, but I'm in a bad mood, so I'm going to go yell at my spouse, and that's going to make me feel better. And now I'll be happy. Okay, happiness doesn't come from things. Happiness doesn't come from somebody else. Happiness doesn't come from anything external. I'm going to reprogram my brain and realize that happiness comes from within. And when you reprogram your brain to realize that you don't need ice cream to be happy, then guess what happens? You don't need ice cream to be happy. It doesn't happen overnight. That doesn't mean that ice cream won't make you happy. Sure it will. It's a chemical happiness. It's a difference between happiness as an emotion and happiness as a state of being. They're two different things. There's something driving you to want to eat that ice cream. Let's remove that cause. Then the need will go away. And what's left is happiness.
Right. You get out of your own way.
Yes.
And all of a sudden you open yourself up to life ain't that bad after all. If I could just turn off my internal tapes that are telling me I'm not good enough or what have you.
Well, and all that programming, when you understand that your brain is like a computer and your consciousness is the user, right? So I'm the user and I'm going to hit play on the program and I'm going to go to sleep over here, the user, the consciousness goes and the program is now running. Hey, we just got a stimulus. Someone has told us we're a shithead. Oh, fuck that person. Let's swear at them. Now I feel like shit, like they don't like me. But then they told this girl I like that I'm a shithead too. That makes me feel really uncomfortable. I'm going to go and eat ice cream now because I feel like shit. Oh, I feel really guilty. I ate ice cream. Now I'm going to go run at 6 at night because I ate a ton of ice cream and feel guilty. And I'm flooded with hormones of guilt, right? When the consciousness or the user is gone, we want to bring that user back and go, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. They can call us a shit. That's okay.
Yeah.
My spirituality is to go beyond the programming, to stop the program and decide what I want to do. Decide if I like this. Decide if this meets my goals. What response meets my goals? My goals are to live a happy life and to be kind to others and to love my spouse and raise wonderful kids and all these things that I want. What is the response that I need to give this person to get my goals met or get closer to them? That's just like athletics, right? What do I need to do to keep on running to meet my goal of becoming a world champion? Having that power over your body, like you do with jumping in water, you need to use for everything: fear, stress, anxiety, doubt, self-esteem, what I like, what I don't like. And what happens when you do that is you stop liking anything because you really don't care about anything and you're really pretty happy. You know?
Yeah. Then it gives you the freedom to, let's say, manifest more wealth or whatever these things that we obsess on and get negative about.
Well, it gives you power to make choices like, I don't really need to eat that. I can fast, and that's cool because me feeling hungry is just the hormone of ghrelin in my stomach as a signal from my brain saying you need food, and
Right.
that signal goes down, and then ghrelin is the hormone that says you're hungry, motherfucker, and then it starts doing other things to your body, and then becomes this powerful drive to eat when it's just a biological response of your body running the way it's supposed to run. You know?
Ghrelin subsides in 20 minutes. It
Right.
goes away. The effects go away.
But we're programmed to respond to that. Because we
Yeah.
feel we're hungry doesn't mean we actually need to eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same thing with, because I want to have hit on that girl doesn't mean I actually should. It's a
Right.
biological response to procreate with someone that matches my programming of what I think is attractive.
Yeah.
So when I see a lot of these studies by a lot of people like Brene Brown, who I love, by the way, but she has a lot of studies, and the book that the book that you told me to read on the obesity code, all those studies are probably with people that don't have any power of choice over their bodies.
All that stuff is, in a way, can be discounted because they're taking the control group as like they're robots. Yeah, that's right.
They're biological units that they feel hungry, they eat.
Yeah.
Right. And so those studies don't take into account what choices we can make when we have the power over our biology, because we can make choices like running and exercising smart. We can make choices like jumping in cold water because we know it's good for us. We can make choices like intermittent fasting because we know it's good for us. We can make choices like getting in positive relationships. And I wrote this in one of my quotes: wisdom is knowing what situations are loving and supporting for us. Power is staying in them.
What do you mean by power? Like having power or being
power
powerful?
to stay in the situations that are loving and supporting. It's sometimes very difficult to understand what situations are loving and supporting. We can get very confused by that. Our biology can be delusional. Our biology can drive us to say, well, I really could eat. Well, I really don't need to jump in that cold water. Well, I really did it yesterday, and I really kind of do enough. Our brains have been clinically proven to trick us.
Uh-huh.
And it's really in the book, Thinking Fast and Slow. If you've read that book, he talks about this experiment that they ran about a gorilla running through a basketball court, and people didn't see it. And then they said, there was no gorilla that ran across a basketball court. And they said, yes, there was. And people would argue, no, there wasn't. Yes, there was. Fuck you. I didn't see a gorilla.
Yeah.
I would see a gorilla. And then they would play the tape and they go, holy shit, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, it's the gorilla study.
Our brains can
trick
the most
us. Famous studies in psychology. Yeah, you had to count the number of times.
Shots, yeah.
They said count the number of times you see the basketball getting thrown and caught, and then no one noticed the gorilla. Incredible, yeah.
And the brain will fool us into thinking something that's true when maybe it's not true.
Yeah.
And because of that, we have to be really, really careful about what's real and what's not real, because we can get fooled.
How does that apply to our discussion about manifesting and altering the course of your destiny to create exactly what you want in life.
Well, I wrote about this in my book, and I don't know how effective it was, but you have to have authentic goals because your brain can trick you into an unauthentic goal. Like I have a friend of mine who was a CEO, made tons of money. She was a movie director, hit the highest highs of success and basically hit the lowest lows. And she's doing Joe Dispenza and she's reading this and she's doing that. And I've coached her a little bit and I'm more of the, tough love kind of thing, right? And I'm going to teach you, not coach you. I'll tell you what lessons I've learned from ancient texts and from experience, right? And she comes to me every so often and asks questions like, it's not working. Why isn't it working? And I keep on telling you, got to let go. You got to surrender. You got to give up. And she keeps on saying, I don't understand what that means. So, well, someday you will. And she keeps on coming back and she says, Dave, I'm doing everything right. Why am I not making money? Well, there you have it. Your intentions are not for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Well, it's a perfect reason. I have to survive. I need money to survive. But there's a difference in the intention of just making money versus doing a job that gets me by and allows me the time to focus on what I love doing. These are two different intentions. Her intention is I need to be back on top again. I got to get back on top again. I'm going to use spirituality to get back on top again. I'm going to use spirituality to manifest. Manifesting happens when you manifest things for the highest purpose, number one. And number two, you manifest them when you believe they can happen. And to the extent you believe them is to the extent they'll happen, or the rate at which they'll happen. So most people fail in those two reasons. The intentions are wrong and they don't really believe it.
They don't deep down believe it. They're dreaming. They've been told to do their vision board and cut out the private jet that the man of their dreams they're going to call in, who's 6'2" and has a 2-day stubble, is going to come along and take them out of their shitty life. But they don't really believe it. They're just going through the motions, sort of. Right.
And I look at my book as like the starting point of being able to manifest, because you follow those 7 habits and practice them. You're going to be able to create an inner stability and an inner voice that supports your next step rather than sabotaging it. So if you don't have fear for the outcome, you do accept things for how they are. You don't judge yourself or other people. You do live with love and compassion. You do focus on happiness as a state of being, not an emotion. And you do have faith. You nail those things. And I mean, it might take years. You nail those things. The next step is easy, which is I don't need to worry about making money because I'm happy, but I really love this. And I really want to have tremendous amount of success in this. And then all of a sudden, these things will begin happening because you're not sabotaging yourself anymore.
Right.
I need this for money. I need this for stature. I should have this. They shouldn't. Why are they getting promoted and I'm not? All that judgment and that the unacceptance and lack of faith. You have to have faith to let go.
Yeah, Luke Story on my show said that you have to be in a state of extreme gratitude for where you are and what you have right now in order to, tee yourself up to manifest further abundance. And I thought that was a really nice way to put it, because most people are looking at this from a point of desperation. And,
Well, let's talk about gratitude. You're reprogramming your brain to say, outcome doesn't matter. I'm grateful for what I have. And I use the phrase, life is enough. Life is enough. I'm alive. Okay. Number 2, gratitude is I'm accepting what I have. I'm not afraid of what I don't have. Desire is fear. And I'm accepting what I have. Okay. Number 3, gratitude is not judging other people and yourself, because judgment requires a standard and you need a standard to judge against. When you're grateful, you remove that standard. Okay. Number 4, gratitude is a step towards happiness. I'm happy with what I have. I truly am grateful for what I have. I'm happy with what I have. I'm grateful for being alive. Okay. Number 6, love and compassion. Compassion is a misdefined word. We can get into that later. But gratitude is giving. I'm so thankful for what I have. I can give some of it away. I don't need to protect it. Right. And faith as well. Let's just say faith. But it's not just having gratitude. It's practicing gratitude, because you have to believe it. And I use my steps as ways to help get there. Like, let's take it in digestible pieces. not a fear for the outcome, accepting things for what they are, don't judge. These are practices not to stop you from being grateful. Hawkins says that the only real way to increase your vibrational energy is through gratitude and reverence for life.
Makes sense.
Because all biology can recognize one thing. All biology. Trees, horses, cows, worms, bacteria can all recognize one thing, and that is what supports life. So reverence for life, gratitude, other biological things, their protoplasm, their senses, a worm sense, go up for water. A tree, I need to look deeper roots for water, right? A dog, where can I get food? They'll all go to what they believe supports life. They have sensors in their cells that says this supports life.
Right.
And as a human, if you give off the energy that you support life, reverence for life, gratitude, then other things will recognize that you support life and they will feel comfortable around you. They will go to you. He calls it a quantum attractor pattern.
And does that include material objects like money, or what is he referencing?
Money's a concept. It's an idea. It's just an idea. It's not even real. It's an imagined reality, right?
Yeah.
Money is just an imagined reality. It's just a thing. I can tell you, the more conscious I become and the more I practice, the easier animals come up to me because they're not afraid.
Right. The animals have that sense, especially the dogs, domesticated animals. They can sense fear, and they can sense the fear in the owner. And then the dog gets on a leash and barks at the other dog instead of just, has a chill encounter in the park.
Right. I had this experience where a hummingbird flew into my garage up to the window, and he was bumping against the window. And I walked up to it, and it got a little crazy, and then it stopped. And I picked it up.
Huh.
A hummingbird. Picked it up, walked it outside, and I just let it go. And it wasn't afraid. I mean, those things like that happen to me more and more. I was in...
As you vibrate higher and higher.
Huh?
As you vibrate higher and higher.
Right. There's reverence for life.
And so, I mean, I've heard these insights applied to that manifesting game of attracting people who are going to lead you to open doors and amassing more wealth and affluence. When you're vibrating properly, and then you're open to it rather than closed off with your head down and missing out on opportunities because your mindset's not there.
Well, you do send out energetic signatures. Emotions are energetic signatures. You just said it, a dog being afraid of you because you're afraid. You have an energetic signature, whether you like it or not. It is a scientific thing, right?
Yeah, the Celestine prophecy was all about the invisible energy between two people, and there's usually a competition for power unless you kind of learn how to go with the flow and leverage each other's power. And I'm kind of referencing those insights as you describe this stuff.
But everything biological goes counter or paradoxical to spirituality, because the biology says live, survive, find things that support us, right? The human body, with its ability for cognition, which no other animal has, is now being paired up with a biological unit. So we're giving biology. Imagine if a dog had the cognition of a human, what that dog would be doing, right? So we're giving our mind cognitive power with our biology, but our mind also acts on behalf of our non-physical side, this energetic side. And the more we stay away from biology, the more power we have to choose over biology. We create more and more reverence for life. We create more and more gratitude. Because a squirrel, if it has a million nuts in its hut on a rainy day in November, is going to go out and look for more nuts the next day, because it doesn't have the ability to say, I'm grateful I have so many nuts. In fact, I have so many I can give them away. It doesn't have that ability. It's going to go out and look for more nuts. It's in its nature. And we have the ability to go against our biology and have gratitude. So the more you break your biology, the more you're going to create reverence for other lives. the more you're going to have other beings, it's beyond the brain. It's at a cellular level. Humans and animals will feel safe. They'll feel safer around you. That's just the way it is. And that's where manifesting comes from. You're now pulling these things into you.
Yeah.
It still freaks me out sometimes. Some things happen to me and I'm just like, whoa, like that is just too weird. Like, what?
Oh, yeah. I mean, everyone can reference these stories of life, like the incredible coincidences of feeling desperate and scared because you don't have any money, and then the next day a check arrives in the mail unexpectedly, and all those kind of things that kind of confirm that there's something magical going on here that's beneath the surface of our awareness, or that's measurable by science.
I told you the $1 million issue I had with my business. Did I tell you about that story?
I don't know.
So when my business was shutting down, my ex-wife was trying to sell it without me knowing. And she eventually put 2 people on the board that I didn't know. That
oh, yeah. You told me some of this. Yeah.
From Philadelphia. And she had an offer to sell the company. And she decided to have a board meeting. And I, emergency notice, board meeting in 5 hours. And I said, I can't make it in 5 hours. She said, too bad, we're going to have it without you. So I called into the meeting and I said, if anyone votes, I'm going to sue every single person on this phone call because I'm on the board and I am the CEO. And if anyone votes on this without 24 hours, without me looking into this, I will sue every single person on this phone call. So they postponed it. And I went home that night and she really undersold the company. It was a complete fiasco. She'd already tried to sell it. The word got out. People were quitting. I'll never forget standing outside of my house in the woods. Just like, wow. So the next day I went to the gym, and it wasn't a normal time I went to the gym. It was an abnormal time I went to the gym. And as I'm walking into the locker room, a guy I know in the industry is walking out. Could have missed him in 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Bam. And he says, hey, I heard you're selling your company. I said, yep. He says, well, I'm kind of interested. What's going on? I said, well, if you're interested, you got 8 hours to make an offer because we're voting in 8 hours. And if you're interested, we better talk. He says, let's talk. So I said, let's go to coffee. We go to coffee. He says, tell me and write up the offer so I don't have to get into a pissing contest over competing with somebody else. So I took the other offer. I added 10% more royalties and added $1 million to the price. And I sent it to him. I said, if you can do this, then we have a deal. And he said back, I can do this. And he signed a letter of intent. And I made $1 million and 10% more on the company because I ran into that guy. And he owns the company today.
What's your takeaway from that?
I don't know. You take away whatever you want from it. I mean,
right.
1 minute, 30 seconds different. I would have missed that guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's karma is one of them, because you did your best to build that company. Things got screwy, and it turned out that you had a nice upside that was
I didn't make
deserving.
That money. It just paid off more debt.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it was a more deserving transaction.
Yeah.
And I think that's an example of karma, and I definitely believe in that. You keep putting it out there and positive energy and all that. And that guy had a pre-existing relationship with you where he respected you and trusted you, so he could make a deal in 8 hours. Yeah, that's a great one, man.
For millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And I don't know that, I mean, if karma is the right word, as much as it is that attractor pattern of trust and reaching through the networks of things that I know to bring those things to me. I mean, in the book Power versus Force, Hawkins uses Gandhi as an example of incredible power that took no energy, power that created energy, where the English Empire was force. It needed energy to maintain force, and Gandhi did nothing to create power. He got more people on his side. He got more influence with the country. He didn't produce propaganda or produce guns or spend money or have warships. He just had a shit ton of power that beat force. And that was an incredibly vibrational attractor pattern to influence people. Or people said, that's reverence for life. That's safe. That's going to help me. That's what I need to do. That's who I need to listen to.
We still have people doing that to us every single day, sometimes in an untoward manner, but trying to prey upon our receptivity to that and then lure you in and manipulate you. It seems to me, especially with that's what marketing is in a way.
Yeah, but they play
advertising.
Fear. But they're playing with your biology, your force, not your power. They're playing on fear, not love. Those are two things in the same spectrum, fear and love. As you let go of fear, you create more love. It's not all or nothing. It's you're sliding up the scale. And when you have more love, you're just shedding more fear. If you want to get rid of fear, let more of the opposite in. If you want to be more spiritual, let more of the opposite go, your biology, right? You want to have more power, let go of the opposite, force. Power is letting go. Force is holding on, right? Power is non-resistance. Force is resistance. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You have to let the other in at the same time you're shedding the others. You're hitting it from both sides.
Same with being happy as a state of being.
Yeah.
Just let go of a lot of your ruminations in your mind and all those things.
You let go of the things that make you unhappy, and what will be left is happiness. And that practice of getting rid of stress and anxiety and fear, you have to reprogram your brain, because you're only afraid of something because your brain says you should be afraid of it. If you reprogram your brain, you will no longer be afraid of it. Like I used my example with my son who has some depression. I said, if there was a kid in London that had a privileged life, this wonderful life of privilege, and all of a sudden the family, something happens to them and they have to move to a crappy tract home in East San Jose on ABC Street. Okay. How would that kid feel? Like, well, he'd probably be sad. Okay. Now let's take a kid from the slums of Mumbai who's never lived in a house before, who can barely have food and water, and something happens to his family wonderfully, and they move into a house in East San Jose.
Next door.
What's he going to feel? So, well, happy. Same house, same street, two different positionalities can create two entirely different emotions. So our programming creates the emotion, not the situation itself. And so you practice recreating those, changing those programs. I do it all the time. I'm not always like this. I do have moments from like, fuck. And then I go, wait a minute. Not fuck. It's just my brain, and this way I was raised, and I can get rid of that and just go away. Come on, go away. You haven't gone away yet. Go away.
Love it, man. A daily practice.
Every moment. It's more than daily. It's all the time.
Dave Rossi, The Imperative Habit. Go grab it on Amazon, right? It's for sale and ready for life transformation.
Yeah, and let's do the biology thing. That's a whole hour. We'll just talk about cause and effect, stimulus, and emotion.
That's on our next show.
What's that?
That's on our next show. We had a wonderful show here, right off the cuff, spontaneous. And I thank you for all those insights. That was a great journey. And yeah, we'll get into the biology next time.
All right, sounds good.
Dave Rossi, people. Thank you for listening to the show. We would love your feedback at getoveryourselfpodcast@gmail.com. And we would also love if you could leave a rating and a review on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. I know it's a hassle. You have to go to desktop iTunes, click on the tab that says ratings and reviews, and then click to rate the show anywhere from 5 to 5 stars. And it really helps spread the word so more people can find the show and get over themselves, because they need to. Thanks for doing it.